Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new on my channel, then welcome. Today we're going to do something slightly different. I have this palette by Pat McGrath, the Mothership Subversive. I think I've only used it like once or twice, but I know that I absolutely love the formula of these shadows, and I also know that this palette is really expensive. So I got to thinking, I have similar shades in my Morphe 35V palette. Obviously not all of them, but a couple of them, mainly the ones that you can see on my eyes. Now, I also have to mention, if you've been following me for a while and you've seen my other videos with the Morphe 35V, you know that I'm not the most fond of it. The main thing is just that I don't find this palette to be super easy to work with. It's not my favorite, but I love the color scheme of it. I'm not going to test and see like whether one formula is better than the other, because I already know that, and it's kind of a given. The Pat McGrath shadows are really famous for like being super good quality. So the whole point of today's test, or like comparison, so to say, is really just to see how different these eye looks will turn out. Now that obviously you can see them on my eyes, but in the process, as I was doing the looks, it was really interesting for me to see and kind of do it step by step. So yeah, don't take this video too seriously. It's all in good fun. And if you are a die-hard Morphe fan, then good on you. I have nothing against Morphe. I love several of their palettes and I use them daily. So yeah, nothing against them. But I just thought it would be fun to kind of see how big the difference is. Anyway, to conclude the longest intro in the whole wide world, if you want to see how I actually managed to create this look on my eyelids and how I got on with both palettes, then just keep on watching. Okay, so we are pretty much ready to go. I have prepped my face. I've got on my SPF. I haven't got any face primer, but I have applied the NYX Dark Circle Concealer in the shade Medium underneath my eyes. And now I'm going to prime my eyelids, because that is what I normally always do, and I want to give both of these palettes a fair shot. So I'm going to use the Urban Decay Primer Potion, the original one. Okay. I'm leaning back as much as I can because I want to show you guys. The colors are kind of dupes, like some of them. Well, two of them to be more specific, but those are the two that I plan on using. So the super reflective and deep rich purple in the middle, and also the kind of aubergine matte shade at the bottom, this one over here. And then there are a couple of shades which I can't show you because both of my arms are kind of full, but I'm going to use the purple dupe in this one and also the aubergine dupe in this palette. By the way, I forgot to mention, because I'm just so used to it by now, but there used to be this stunning golden sparkly shimmery shade in this palette, but mine arrived broken, so I don't have that one anymore. But it was a beautiful, stunning shade. Nevertheless, what I wanted to say is that this palette doesn't have a transition color. So I'm just going to use like a very general one from the 35V on both of my eyelids. I'm going to use the shade Go Nude from the 35V because it is very light. It is almost similar to my skin tone, maybe a bit more cool toned, but it's like this bone shade, so it won't show up too much on my eyelid, which is exactly what I want. I'm just going to use a fluffy brush. This is the Zoeva 228, buffing that in my upper crease, pretty much in my eye socket. See, what did I say? You can barely notice it, so let's move on. So I'm going to take the only matte shade in the palette, which is Paranormal, and I'm going to start creating this halo eye effect around the center of my eye, keeping the middle section empty. I like to build up the outer and the inner portions first, and I'm not even building them up to like their full opacity. I'm just taking a bit of shadow and trying to make the general shape, set that in place before I start actually building up the intensity of the shadow. Once I have something like this, that is when I finally connect the middle section. And now I'm just building up the intensity as I go. And I'm going to take a fluffier brush. This is the 227 by Zoeva, and I'm just running over the edges to soften them and start creating this blown out halo effect. I love how easily the color blends out. It's pure joy. That should do it for now. So let's try the Morphe one. So in the Morphe palette, there's the shade Seduced, which is very, very similar, both swatched and in the pan. So that is the one that I'm going to use. Okay, so yeah, straight away, the one thing that I noticed is that I had to pick up a lot more product with the Morphe one, and it's really not going too far. This one you definitely need to build up a bit more. Again, taking a fluffy brush, even though it's the same one, it's the 227 by Zoeva, it is a different one that I used on this eye. So I'm keeping it fair so that I wouldn't mess up the colors. This one turns just the slightest bit patchy when I start blending it, but it's nothing too bad. Okay, I guess that maybe the Morphe one is slightly more purple toned. It's maybe a bit more lighter or brighter, I should say, than the Pat McGrath one. But yeah, other than that, they look so similar. Even though it did take me a bit less effort on the Pat McGrath side, I feel like this, the Morphe side, is looking really nice as well, and it is not giving me too much trouble at all, which I'm kind of surprised by. I really like the Morphe side, which I wasn't sure that I was going to, but here we are. I did it again. I forgot to turn on my mic. The whole thing that I was just saying, which, I mean, thank God wasn't too much. I wasn't saying too much, but it was still lost. Basically, what I was doing, I applied the shadow Purple Rain on my eyelid, and I was using my finger to do that. I was pressing it on the center of my lid and then kind of slightly blending it out towards the edges. Then I was just saying how much I absolutely love the shadow, because I think it is one of the most stunning purple shades that I have ever seen, I have ever worked with, and I really do stand by that. I'm gonna leave it at that for now, and I'm going to see how the Morphe one does in comparison. The Morphe shade over here is called Crush. I'm going to apply that with my middle finger, and as you can see on my fingers, they are really similar. I think the Pat McGrath one is just the tiniest bit more like royal bluish, but they are really similar. Okay, yeah, definitely a bit more powdery than the Pat McGrath one, but we're getting there. The Morphe one, even though the tone is very similar, I feel like it's not depositing as well on my eye. It's not really sticking to my eye, and it's just a bit more sheer. So I'm gonna have to work a bit more to get the same kind of color payoff. Okay, that should do it for now, but I'm going to go back to the aubergine shades and just work on the outer edges a bit, deepen them up and make sure that everything is blending into one another nicely. So I'm just kind of going over the shades and deepening them up, seeing where I need to add some more color, where I need to blend a bit more, and just perfecting both sides, and then I will jump back here. So I touched up on both of the eyes. I also cleaned up the fallout on my cheeks, and I reapplied the NYX Dark Circle Concealer. So what we're left with right now is eyes that are like, if you're not too focused on them, they look similar, but when you start looking up close, then you can see the kind of differences, slight differences in tone, and also the way that they have applied. For some reason, the Morphe side started doing something dodgy. When I was trying to build up the matte aubergine shade, it kind of created this weird rim where like the parts on my eyelid started almost getting lighter, like I was almost removing the shadow underneath. It just turned really weird and splotchy, so I had to kind of drag the purple out a bit further. But overall, I feel they both look similar. And now what I want to do is I want to create a small liner as well, just a little black line near my lashes. I'm not going to do a wing or anything like that. I'm just going to draw a small line on both of my eyelids. I'm going to use my color Caramel eyeliner. This is the liquid eyeliner in the shade number 7, which is just black. Okay, so this is where I'm going to stop for now. I'm going to jump off camera, do the rest of my face makeup, get everything done, and then I'm going to jump back here. We will finish up the eye look, and then I will share my thoughts with you guys, kind of give you my final verdict, and we'll see how it all turns out in the end. Okay, so this is what we are left with. With the falsies and everything, the difference is even less noticeable, which I am very thankful for. And as always, if you want to know what products I used on my face, check the description box because everything will be listed there. I'm just going to do the aubergine shade on my bottom lash line. I don't want to like ruin the look with more color because well, first of all, I don't really have more dupes anyway, but I'm just really digging this kind of deeper look. So that's what we're gonna go with. Making sure to get it really well in my lashes as well. And I'm just taking a fluffy brush to diffuse the edges a bit. And now I'm just going back in and kind of deepening up the color. I wish I had a purple, like a really electric kind of purple eyeliner. I would apply that in my waterline and it would look so incredibly cool. Anyway, now we're going to do the same thing on the other eye using the Morphe 35V and the shade Seduced. Adding a bit more color to this side. Seems I didn't add enough. Running over the lower lash line. I have already highlighted my inner corners. I used the same highlighter that I used on my face, which was the Morphe High Impact Highlighter in the shade Extra. Now I'm just going to coat my lower lashes, and I'm using the O.TWO.O mascara and apply a liquid lip. I think I'm gonna go with the classic, the Ofra Sao Paulo. And I'm going to go over top with the shade Bel Air. Okay, so full disclosure, it has been like a couple of hours since you saw that last part where I was filming and showing the final result. My makeup hasn't changed too much, which is a good thing. So when it comes to my final thoughts, what can I say? I do prefer the Pat McGrath side just because the colors are more vibrant, they were easier to work with, and they didn't need as much building up, and it was just a more enjoyable and fluent kind of process. Whereas with the Morphe one, I struggled a bit more. I kind of knew that from the beginning, just going into the whole process. I just knew that I was going to like the Pat McGrath side more, but I still wanted to know how big the difference is and whether you will be able to create a similar kind of look with the Morphe one, whether the end result would be comparable. And it is. And I really do like the look that came out in the end. I think I will be wearing it again just because it was actually quite easy to do. Only 2 eyeshadows. I mean, come on. You know that. You guys know me. I love my easy eye looks, and this is like as easy as it gets. That is all for today. If you enjoyed this experiment video thing, then please don't forget to give me a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!